All charges dropped today against Jussie Smollett, yet when the prosecutor was asked if he believes the Empire actor is innocent, he gave a one-word answer, and that's no. So let's discuss now Joey Jackson, Midwin Charles, and Charles Ramsey, by the way, police chief in a couple different places. So, Joey, I just, you say that what occurred today with Jussie Smollett is virtually unprecedented. What happened?
Well, what happened was that you had literally the police chief and you had the mayor completely railing against what occurred. Now, it's not unusual for there to be a disagreement between what ultimately happens or how there's a disposition. This was beyond a disagreement. And what the feeling was from the police's perspective was that the community was done a disservice. And here's what my thing is at the end of the day. If you want to call this an alternative prosecution, then call it that. The prosecution felt that this was a just and proper disposition, and perhaps it was. I think they were running too hard against him. You know, should he swallow a felony as an African-American who's starting out, who's doing great work for the community, who has a long background and a long history of being liked and well-respected? But if that's going to be the disposition, just be transparent and say it. Don't disguise it and say, well, he may not be innocent, he could be innocent. So ultimately, I think while the disposition, should he have swallowed a felony? No, but I think that they were not transparent with the American people, and that's what's concerning.
But did you think the attorney was convincing?
I think the attorney did what she did. Look, she's a very well-respected attorney, and what is she going to do? She's there to represent her client. She's there to fight for her client, and that's what she did on your program. But ultimately, I just think that you have to be fair, you have to be honest, and I think there was little honesty that was done today.
Okay, I've got to ask you, Chief Ramsey, because you were, the mayor was indignant, the police chief indignant. You were, I think you were as well when I watched you earlier. Why is law enforcement so upset about this?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not upset with the defense counsel. She did what she is paid to do. But the prosecutor in this case, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. In one sense, you're saying that I believe he lied about the entire thing. I believe the police did a thorough investigation. I believe the charges were appropriate, but we're going to drop it. And it's a $10,000 fine, essentially, as a result of it. It just makes absolutely no sense. To me, it stinks. And I just don't like the way it was done. Not even a phone call to the superintendent. Hey, superintendent, I'm about to drop a bomb. I apologize for the collateral damage. I mean, do something. I mean, this was a very high-profile case. It makes absolutely no sense to me to be handled that way.
You've been concerned about police tactics, I know, maybe.
I have, and I've said that before on your show. I think that what I found most interesting about all of this is the Chicago Police Department, unfortunately, with no disrespect, has not been the shining example of credibility when it comes to telling the truth. There are various cases that they have dealt with where they have been caught lying. And so I think that that's something that was disturbing about this matter from the very beginning. There were a lot of leaks throughout the entire process, but does that mean that what the prosecutor did here is a little bit odd, to say the least, and perhaps bizarre? Yes, it is. But also, I think one of the reasons why Joey is concerned about transparency, I think the reason why they're not being transparent is because it's obvious that they perhaps overcharged this case. And so they are trying to walk it back, and they're trying to do it in the best way possible to save face.
You say overcharged, but then you think that there's political influence.
I think there had to be. Look, at the end of the day, it's nice to know people, and let's be clear about it. The prosecution has come out and said that, in effect, he did what they said he did, and it's not unusual for a prosecutor, in the interest of justice, to believe that they do the right thing at the end of the day. But why go through the charade if you're the prosecutor, presenting it to the grand jury, getting 16 counts on an indictment, suggesting he lied about every single thing to the police, and then reiterating the lie to the detective,
and have a press conference to announce
the whole
those
thing,
charges,
only to then dismiss the case in a shroud of secrecy? We don't know about the community service until after the fact. The initial statement didn't even reference the community service. If you're going to do it this way, just be fair, just be honest, just be decent, and say it's a deferred prosecution. This is the best.
At the same time, he's out maintaining his innocence, as he has all along, innocent to proven guilty. Ollie said that here. But do you think the state just couldn't prove?
No, I don't think that's the case. I think there's something else behind the scenes. And as far as Chicago Police Department goes, listen, they've had their issues. There's no question about that. But it doesn't mean that every case they handle now is a lie. It doesn't mean
I'm
that.
not saying
no,
that.
But listen,
I'm not saying that.
That is what you said.
No, it is not
that,
what I'm saying.
Anytime
it is
somebody
not
starts
what I'm
a sentence
saying.
with,
What I'm
I mean
saying
no
is,
disrespect.
No,
you know.
it's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is there's irony here, and there's a backdrop with respect to the way that they handled this case. From the very beginning, there was information leaked from inside the police department.
Do they know it was inside the
discrediting?
police
department?
Yes, there was unnamed sources from the Chicago Police Department discrediting his claim, and that is not how it's done. Victims of crime walk into police departments all the time. It is the police department's job to investigate those allegations. The idea that a police department would leak information that would counter, that would discredit a victim is not professional. It's not the way the man
leaks
is
come from every place. I mean, that's just a fact. Mr. Smollett went on national TV to tell his story.
Yes,
I mean, so
and that's
he's
not
not
a
the
leak.
only person that was talking about this thing. I'm not here to try to just defend the department. But what I'm telling you, what happened today was wrong. The only good
It's
thing
bizarre.
that happened.
I agree with you. It's bizarre.
One good thing.
It's bizarre.
Because I don't want to be totally negative. At least we know now how much a get out of jail free card costs in Cook County. Because that's exactly what happened today.
I got to go.
Look, at the end of the day, I think that the disposition of holding him accountable for a felony under the light of circumstances of what he did perhaps was an overreach. But to resolve it in this particular way, to not be transparent with everyone else, I have been practicing as a defense attorney for 20 years. Okay. I've never seen a case just disappear like this. I think there was some influence there that we're going to find out about that we don't know about now.
Fascinating conversation and more to come, of course, in the coming days. We'll be right back. Thank you all.